Hi guys, this is Rich. Today is Sunday, October 18th, and I am doing a screencast for Barnables, the home edition. Alright, so all in all, we've had an interesting week. Last week I went through the code, I got everything to where I understood it, and, this week what I'm doing more is trying to get it actually working. So, let's take a look at the goals. Sorry, playing a little Final Fantasy there. Okay, so let's go over to our Gantt. I've still got to do a little housekeeping. Okay, so here was our goal. Okay, so we're gonna begin work on the goal on the new game, Barnables Gold, and we're going to edit the existing scripts to match functionality in the GDD. I'm going to have to go over that a little bit because, obviously this is a team effort and I'm still waiting on some of the art assets, as well as the sounds and some of the other things, which I should be getting on Wednesday. So, I'm committed to work with the group, and when I get those, I will get everything in place. You might notice an asset here or there is a little off. I got things working in the spirit, and we're going to do size adjustments once I have those assets. But that shouldn't be too much of a project. That's kind of busy work. You sit there, you just figure it out, you write it down on paper, and then you work at it. There's not a whole lot of figuring things out involved. Okay, so we got an answer key down here. And basically what we're doing is we're having a player. Let me actually zoom in a little bit so you can see this a little better. Player is given an animal and 4 choices. The player will drag and drop the animal onto any of those choices. If it is the correct choice, the player advances. If not, they are allowed to try again. Okay. And the answer key is as follows. And we can play around with this if anyone disagrees on anything. But okay, I think the next step was to demo the game and the functionality. Okay, so let's...
Welcome to Barnables. Tap and drag each animal and drop it on the correct shadow to win. Nice job.
Okay, I'm going to mute this because this is actually the audio from one of the other ones. Okay. And you can see what we're doing here, because we don't have the images, is north is barn, east is forest, south is air, and west is water. So you can very quickly see, I guess duck went into the water. Oh, that's the chick. I always get the duck and the chick confused. As I do with the wolf and the dog. And I'm playing this quickly. Okay, you can basically see how the game's going to work. And, the way I switched it over to this layout, because I figured if we ever wanted to do an Android TV version of this fits very nicely into the controller. We just have the animal right in the center, and the player would be asked to choose a direction. And, there aren't a lot of games that use the stick controller. So, having one out there would be nice. Okay, so yeah, you can see it's up, it works. It's simple, but, that was the goal. Okay, so this, okay, none of this game is really all that complicated. I'm going to go over the code in a minute, but, needless to say, it is not as complicated as those steps I want you to discuss. Okay, so this fits into a larger picture of the game as a whole in that it is the functionality of the game. it's the actual gameplay elements. Later in this week, I'm gonna have to clean it up, polish it, get the art assets in there. That's what makes it pretty. This is the guts. So yeah. And that's how it relates to other things in the game. It's the guts of the game. Say the criteria, when it worked. What I did was I tested each of the animals and made sure they worked. I came up with an approach that I figured would work, and that's basically how it was done. There is still some balancing, polish, and quality things that relate to, again, the pictures, the user interface, but again, I still have to wait a little longer to get those in place. So, aside from that, I don't think I'll be revisiting this milestone in the future unless people add to it. That's always the case, that the team gets together. They want to add or change something, in which case I'm more than happy to do that, of course. So, I made it nice and simple to make changes. All we have to do to add more animals is expand the list. It's dynamic. We can add more levels. Let's show the code, and I'll talk you through what I actually did. Okay, so what I did was let me zoom in a little bit so everyone can see what we're doing. Okay, so there are basically two main scripts here that we're using. So let's talk about the colliders. Okay, so within the game, you've got a main collision system, which, let me play a level and I can show you it in action. Okay. So, you can see that on level 1, this is the part that's active. And the part that we touch has a, it's a box collider? Yeah, 2D box collider attached to it. It's a trigger, and that trigger is run by the script button prefab script. And of course, the other collider, the area that we collide with, is any one of these. Okay, so let's take a look at that script, how that works. Okay, so when we enter, basically what happens is we we do the if statement, and then once we've actually gone through that, we collider.gameObject, we create a I guess this is a image. I want to say I'll have to go to the top to check 100%. What's that? A game object. Okay, so that is actually a game object. Okay, so we get the item in the collision, and we create a game object that revolves around it, and then on mouse up, we do an if statement, which checks to see if the object doing the colliding, that sprite has a name that matches the sprite name of the thing that it collided with. Okay, and if that's true, we retrieve our game manager script, which is over here, by using the find function. We get the component of the game manager, and we basically run through the other steps, and if not, we tell the player to try again. This audio is basically good work. This text here basically resets everything and starts the new level, and this removes everything. It basically clears the board. Okay, so let's go to some of that stuff on the game manager, and let's explain first some of the changes I've made. So basically what's going to happen in my version of the game is once we start things, we are going to rename all of the animals. And animals 0 through 8 will be renamed Barn. 9 through 16, I guess, and 15, I guess, would be the last one that it was done to, or Forest, and so on and so forth. And I've lined those animals up in the game manager in that scene so that, basically, the animals that belong in different locations are properly stored there. So, when I hit play, just to show you what'll happen. Here's the game manager. We've got all these different animals, and each one is appropriately named. Cool, right? So they're all named Forest, Barn, whatever else, and then the image of that is also named to that. So, what the game does with that if statement is it checks if that's true, and if it's true, meaning that we're on the proper image, then we advance to the next level. I think that's a somewhat clever way of doing that, but it's what I came up with. And aside from that, I think we went over the drag and drop a little last week. We went over all this. Text spawn, I had to change this area here. This is going to be what makes sure that the home images are what we use for the actual pictures. Okay, so I think that pretty much goes over what I ended up changing on that side of things. The rest of the code is things that I didn't change, so that would all be the original staff that was working on this. Okay, and I'll get you it running on emulators tomorrow, or maybe tonight. Okay, I'm going to meet with them tomorrow, so I want to see if I can get you a better version of it, a prettier version running on the emulators. Okay, thank you for watching.